And welcome back to PokeMarketLab, everyone. We are going to take a look back at Astral Radiance and get a 34-month update on what I think is an underhyped and underappreciated set from the Sword and Shield era. Is it worth picking up? Is there value opportunity here for singles and or sealed? We are going to answer that question together. So sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. All right, let's get into it. Astral Radiance 34-month update, released May 26th, 2022, and it was released without much fanfare. It was preceded by Brilliant Stars and Fusion Strike, which are obviously pretty strong sets, especially Fusion Strike. So this was a bit of a letdown upon release, and it was a bit of a slow period of time before the Sword and Shield era because it was followed up by Pokemon Go, which was really not well received. And then after that started to pick up, and we started to end strong with Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, and of course the specialty set Crown Zenith. Astral Radiance, I think we have a lot of hidden gems here. I think we're going to come to find out is there's opportunity here. I think this is a set that most people just don't appreciate. It's not a heavy lifter. It's not one of the four horsemen of Lost Origin, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, and Chilling Reign. It's not up there with those sets, but these... I don't want to call them third-rate sets. They're not. They're solid sets. They're B sets, maybe B- sets that kind of do. They're just become pillars in that era. They help hold things up. They kind of fill in the gaps. You can't have Evolving Skies every day of the week. I liken this set to like maybe a Paradox Rift, or somewhere between a Paradox Rift and a Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown being not as good as Paradox Rift in my opinion. Just again to kind of give you where my perspective is on this set. So let's march forward. Let's first look at that logo. Probably one of my favorite logos from the Sword and Shield era. It just kind of gives me an 80s vibe. That chromatic effect on the Astral there. I work in the design fields and print and production fields, so box art and logos and things like that matter tremendously to me, and this is certainly one of the better logos in the Sword and Shield era. They're all really good, but this is a fantastic one. And let's look at sealed performance. We're going to start off with the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box. Remember the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Boxes from the Sword and Shield era do not have anything special in them whatsoever. No special promos. It's really just a different box with an extra pack or two. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's really nothing special about them other than the scarcity. And that scarcity, now that Sword and Shield is becoming older, it's becoming rare. A lot of boxes have been cracked. It's getting further back in the rearview mirror. The Pokemon Center ETBs are becoming pretty collectible. They're becoming a cheaper way of entering into that set and getting some exposure to that set without getting the booster box. They're rare. There's only 60 of these listed on TCG Player. Only 270 of these sold in the last year. These are exceedingly rare. I think out of all the Pokemon Center ETBs in the Sword and Shield era, this is a good buy. This is almost a go out and get it now type product. $100, $30 more than the ETB, the regular ETB, which we're going to look at in a minute here. And you get exposure to Astral Radiance. You get a rare product. Again, it's not special in any way, shape, or form compared to the regular ETBs, but you're getting, again, it's just rare, and rarity matters, especially when we're talking about sealed product. And as it gets older, as it approaches 5 years, the cards that are in it just do not matter as much. If there's love of that set, if there's nostalgia of that set, it doesn't matter as long as it's scarce. And remember, the regular ETBs from the Sword and Shield era were printed into the ground. Heavily, heavily printed. Astral Radiance, maybe not as heavily printed as some, certainly heavily printed on the ETB side. So this is actually, I think, if you're looking at Astral Radiance, looking to get some exposure to some of these sets in Sword and Shield, if you're looking for something rare, you could do a lot worse than this for $100. Regular ETB sitting at 70, 83% return in 1 year. 54, only 50 of these listed on TCG Player. 1,200 sold in the last year. Look at that price spike here right at the beginning of the year. Whereas, again, I've talked about this before, but sorry to beat a dead horse, but a lot of people are using the regular ETBs, the Pokemon Center ETBs, as a method of entering in the Sword and Shield era for a lot cheaper. And I think this is a great buy still. $70. We have Scarlet and Violet sets, ETBs, that are at $70 or more for sets that will get reprinted, will 100% get reprinted. You do not have that reprint risk with Astral Radiance. So that you're $70 still on a decent set, a B tier set, the depth of the market's 50 here. This is not a deep product. There's not a risk of reprints here. I think this is a slam dunk. 83% return in the last year. These were just so cheap. That's where that percentage return comes from. These were below 40 bucks for a long period of time, and now they're starting to spike up. So if you have them, hold on to them. And if you don't have exposure to the set, again, you're looking to pick up a few ETBs, 70 bucks. You could do a lot worse than that. That's not bad considering. I'd rather have Astral Radiance than some of the other more expensive ETBs from the Scarlet and Violet era that, again, will get reprinted. When I say will get reprinted, maybe not the ETBs. That set is certainly getting reprinted. So that's a whole different topic for another conversation. So. And the booster box, 58% return in the last year, sitting at $267. Only 68 of these listed on TCG Player, so this has taken a nice leg up. This lagged a little bit compared to the other Four Horsemen products in the Sword and Shield era. Astral Radiance is just, again, it's not an A-tier set. So what happens is those big boys, they start to increase pretty quickly, and then Astral Radiance kind of lags. So what you're seeing here is that spike up was kind of lagged after those other sets, and now it's going to probably sit here at this price as we wait for those other sets to kind of lead the charge upward again, and that will pull Astral Radiance with it. So this is probably, if you don't think $300 for a box is too crazy, then maybe this is your opportunity before another leg up, and it is only a matter of time before we see a leg up again. And I just do not think this set gets enough love. We're going to go into some of the singles in a set in a minute here. There's other factors at play that start to become more important than just singles, though, when we start getting age on a set, especially when you get into 3 to 5 years. I've said this before, a lot of people have talked about this, but the value in the boxes, the value in the set starts to separate from the box price itself. It doesn't necessarily matter as much that there's certain singles potential in that box. It becomes more important about, nostalgia, people remembering cracking it, people remembering pulling certain cards. Whether they played with that set when they actually playing the cards. People do actually play Pokemon. Those things start to matter more. So just something to keep in mind. And then looking at total set value, this is actually held up pretty well, sitting right a touch over $1,000 total. This is all the entire value of every single card in the set. Remember, we have both the regular gallery of cards and we have the trainer gallery as well, all combined here, a touch over $1,000. And looking at these value distribution chart here, it's actually really good. You have a beautiful chase card in the Machamp. You have Starmie in second place. So you have some expensive cards, even third in line at the Garchomp and Origin Form Palkia. You have some nicely expensive cards in this set. It's not just one card or bust. And what happens, though, is you start to get down that distribution value. You start getting into past the top 4 or 5 cards. It starts to drop off, and it gets pretty low pretty quickly. So we're definitely, a lot of the value in the set is heavy front-loaded, but it's not front-loaded in one card, which is, I think, is important from an opening standpoint. I think that, again, if the price of a card on the market, on the secondary market, is in some way, shape, or form informed by the demand for that card, then I think the vote from the market here is, again, the top 4 or 5 cards is pretty well loved. And then looking at the top 6 cards in the set of value, we're going to look at the top 3 here. We got Machamp, we get Starmie, and we get Garchomp. The Machamp at the top spot here is not my favorite card from an artwork standpoint. It's just not. That Starmie, though, is beautiful. I love that Starmie. That's a good looking card. I love the coloring on there. I love Misty sitting on a Pokeball themed pool floaty. I think that's cool. And of course you get Garchomp here with Cynthia on it. So that's obviously of now we got Cynthia coming up here. Cynthia's Garchomp coming up here in Destined Rivals. That card is absolutely spiking up in part because of that, I'm guessing. So, when we start looking at singles from this era, that's, we get cards that have been out for 3 years now. The volume of cards listed on the market, it matters tremendously. So the Machamp here is only 60 cards listed, Starmie 85 and Garchomp 87. And so what we've had here, look at how well these performed in the last year. All of them up at least 50%, Starmie up 150%, and Garchomp there up 250%. And what we're seeing here comparatively to, the Scarlet and Violet era is just a lot more strength on the single side. There's just the supply portion of the market is just not there on the sealed side or the single side, right? So there's no people just cracking boxes to get singles into the market. You're not going to see that. I'm sorry, you're just not going to see that on a set, an era that's this old at this point. What you have is what you're going to get. Now, that's not to say there's not singles in collections and so on and so forth that aren't going to pull into the market as prices rise on singles. That's always going to happen. But we're not seeing is this huge rush of singles to market as these prices increase, right? People wanting to sell and offload their collections to capitalize on that price. We're not seeing that here. We're seeing a lot more strength, a lot more resiliency as the singles market in general has softened, but that's really been focused on the Scarlet and Violet side of things. Sword and Shield is holding up way better. So top 3 cards, good looking cards here. Again, that Machamp at the top, not my favorite. I'm not, totally in agreement here with the market that it's worth 168 bucks, but hey, to each their own. On to the next 3 here. We got Urgent Form, Palkia, Urgent Form, Dialga, and Beedrill. That Dialga is probably my favorite, up there with the Starmie, my favorite card from the set. Just a good-looking card, beautiful in foil. And we see here, same thing, solid performance. I think a lot of people kind of focused on some of the 4 Horsemen sets in terms of singles when we saw a run-up on singles. And now, again, a little bit laggy in terms of the run-up on some singles here in Astral Radiance, but you will see a lot more resiliency and a lot better performance in Sword and Shield products singles in the long term. In terms of the hold of value, you're just not going to see that same kind of reduction that we saw in Scarlet Violet. Again, I do not recommend buying singles from an investment standpoint, but in terms of a collection, these are just going to hold their value a lot better. It's just you're not going to see a lot more singles come to market. No one's cracking boxes. These are holding up really well. The OF Palkia is not my favorite from an artwork standpoint. A little busy for me. I don't really have enough contrast with the Pokemon. I love the Dialga and I love the Beedrill. These are holding up really well. And again, you're now the top 6 cards in the set. You're on to the next 3 here, and you still have some value. We have a $70, $50, and $38 card. So really, again, holding on quite well. There's a good story value in the top 6 cards in the set. And then some honorable mentions. Again, I urge you, get out of the first page or 2 in TCG Player. Look deeper into this set. There's always some good stuff to find. We get a beautiful Moltres, Galarian Moltres. We have a Galarian Zapdos as well, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, and Zamenta. Beautiful looking cards. Again, I think this is not it's not a blockbuster set, but these sets that fill in these gaps, it's not a stinker of a set. It's a very, again, it kind of holds everything up, helps hold everything up and fill in the gaps between the 4 Horsemen sets. So, and then coming down to the end of the video here, you're going to talk about my, I think, talk about how I feel about the set. Again, I love the box art. I think it's a great set. I think it's an underappreciated set. I think it's solid. Again, I compare it to a touch below maybe a Paradox Rift. So I'm going to give this a B-. It's kind of on the cusp between a C+ and a B-. I just couldn't give it a C+. There's some nostalgia there that's probably clouding my judgment in terms of card art and everything. But again, I love the logo. I was able to get a lot of this product for very cheap for a long period of time. Again, it was overlooked. These B or C tier sets in older eras like this, they just take longer to get up to speed. And you can kind of use that in your methodology from an investing standpoint or a store of value standpoint and start to pick up those products and kind of shoot where it's going to be, knowing that other boxes are leading the charge. And I did this exact same thing on the Astral Radiance when Lost Origin was pumping, Fusion Strike was pumping. I saw those going up. Astral Radiance was kind of lagging. I saw, boxes listed on Facebook Marketplace at 125 each, and I just started gobbling them up, knowing that, this is not, again, looking at the cards of the set, saying, this is a solid set. It's an okay set. I thought, hey, the market's going to fall in love with this at some point and push it up along with everything else. It's just going to take some time. So I gobbled up booster boxes at about 125 each. So got a bunch of those. So kind of take that and use that to your, with older sets here, and we start seeing that growth and kind of aim in front of some of the mid-tier sets before they start pumping. But again, make sure you're looking at the singles card. Make sure you like them. I cannot tell you, and it seems like it's not a methodology, right? It seems like it's not based on anything other than your opinion. That's absolutely true, because that's what the market is based on in terms of singles at the end of the day. And what happens when we get out of that is what happens when what we're seeing here in Scarlet Violet, where we saw singles that did not deserve to go up 300, 400, 500%. Yes, I did not. That was not I did not misspeak on that. They go up, and it's like, hey, I don't agree. I think those pumped for no reason there, and it's because there wasn't a reason. It was because the market was just moving in that direction, and everyone followed suit. Make your own determination on the singles. and typically that'll steer you in the right direction. So B minus set here. Reprint risk is, when I say none on the ETBs or the booster boxes, we are still seeing some product. I think the Infernape V box from Target does have, I think it's a pack of Astral Radiance in there. So it's not like we're seeing nothing in terms of new printing of Astral, but there's no boxes. It's all individual packs. And it's not in any kind of ridiculously massive volume. So from a sealed standpoint, if you're holding either of these, they will do well long term. Will they do well as well as Four Horsemen and things like that? No, probably not. But I think that also means you have an entry point for some of this product. Again, I talked about the ETBs, the Pokemon Center ETBs, regular ETB 70. You have ETBs in the Scarlet and Violet era that are 70 or more for sets that will get reprinted. So $70 I think is not a bad entry point. And again, if you want to spend a little bit more, get that Pokemon Center ETB, you're getting exposure to the set. It is rare, exceedingly rare. And then booster box 12-month price target. I would give this, if we're going to see, I think we're going to see another leg up on Sword and Shield here at some point. I think we're going to probably come to a head eventually on the Scarlet and Violet market, and it's going to be considered a little too hot for stuff that's still getting reprinted. I think we're going to get some pretty heavy reprints on some products, and I think we'll see a slowdown, at least in the rate of change on Scarlet and Violet, and people are going to look at they're going to not fly to safety, but they're going to look at a better, more mature store of value, and I think they're going to go back to Sword and Shield. So we're going to see a leg up here in the next 12 months or so on Sword and Shield. And what's going to happen again in Astral Radiance, it's going to lag, but it will get brought up. That rising tide will lift all boats, and Astral Radiance will take advantage of that. So I think a fair price target, $300 to $400 for the booster box. I think the ETB is only a matter of time before that hits 100. So that's it for today's video on Astral Radiance. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And if you love what we're doing here at PokeMarketLab, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We have some membership tiers in the channel if you want to support, and check out Sleeved TCG, link in the description below. A fantastic Discord community and in-stock notification alerts, some of the fastest in-stock notification alerts for online retail markets to help you get product at MSRP. And with that, we will see you on the next one. PokeMarketLab out.